to the American people to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. He acted against that. What he did was wicked.
I don't believe he provoked if you listen to what he said at the rally.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters.
Haley says the media wants to stoke a Republican civil war. Stoke it how? By telling Americans that it's happening? What Republicans on either side of this divide are saying? Perhaps there would be no civil war if the media would just stop documenting it? The 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach Trump. How conservative House members tried to oust one of them, Liz Cheney, from the House GOP leadership. How 7 Republicans voted to convict Donald Trump in his impeachment in the Senate. How state parties censured many of these lawmakers despite the fact that Trump left the White House in disgrace and was the first president in almost 3 decades not to win a second term. There is a civil war. The GOP is eating its own, casting out good people as it kowtows to conspiracy theorists. And the media ignoring that it's happening won't make Mitt Romney and Josh Hawley somehow agree on the existential questions facing their party. Nikki Haley is trying to have it both ways. She says that the pre-Trump Republican Party is over. Quote, most of Mr. Trump's major policies were outstanding and made America stronger, safer, and more prosperous. Many of his actions since the election were wrong and will be judged harshly by history. That's not a contradiction. It's common sense. And she says having it both ways is the only way forward for the party, when in fact she's been having it all the ways since January 6th. The day after the attack, she said this at a meeting of the RNC, quote, President Trump has not always chosen the right words. He was wrong with his words in Charlottesville, and I told him so at the time. He was badly wrong with his words yesterday. And it wasn't just his words. His actions since Election Day will be judged harshly by history. Well, in this latest op-ed, Haley writes that she will, quote, gladly defend the bulk of the Trump record and his determination to shake up the corrupt status quo in Washington. I will never defend the indefensible. I didn't do that when I served alongside President Trump, and I'm not going to start now, she says. Well, she actually can't start now because she already started weeks ago.
They beat him up before he got into office. They're beating him up after he leaves office. I mean, at some point, give the man a break. Move on.
So she changed her tune, acting like Trump was the victim, which is one of his very favorite yarns to spin. She goes on in an interview with Politico, quote, I understand the president. I understand that genuinely to his core, he believes he was wronged. This is not him making it up. And the reporter asks her, you have the president of the United States telling everyone that he was cheated, that the voting systems are corrupt, that we're living in a banana republic where the deep state has rigged this election against him. Isn't that dangerous? And Haley replies, quote, he believes it. Well, that's ridiculous. He was and is making it up. It's all a lie. He knows it because the courts told him, voters told him, reality told him. Over and over and over again. His team and his allies lost nearly 60 cases having to do with the election. So yeah, he knows it. He just doesn't care. Haley zigzags through this op-ed. She says, quote, if the media gets its way, the GOP will dissolve into endless warfare, ensuring extreme liberal government for years to come. And also this, what's good for the media is bad for America. Some never Trump and always Trump Republicans also attack anyone who doesn't join the all or nothing chorus. Well, if there is one thing in 2021 that is all or nothing, it was the deadly attack against democracy on January 6th. If you're a lawmaker who was in that building that day, you should know better that there aren't 2 ways to honestly look at an armed insurrection that required you to hide in fear of your life. Hiding from people who literally stalked the hallways looking for the Republican vice president. The president and his allies lied to millions of Americans for 2 months, falsely saying the election was stolen and that he won. A lie he's still pushing. Those lies sent people to Washington, riled up, ready to literally and figuratively act on the myth that the election could be overturned by Mike Pence. When they got to D.C., Donald Trump egged them on, giving them a pregame pep talk.
And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Nikki Haley also says this in this op-ed, Mr. Trump brought millions of new voters into the Republican Party, for which he deserves great credit, but the party also lost millions of voters. Well, that's like saying you lost 10 pounds, but you also gained 15, which is something that a few of us are familiar with stuck in the house during COVID, am I right? You don't get credit for it. Wouldn't that be nice if you did? Nikki Haley may be constructing her own basic laws of math because of that. She goes on in this op-ed, quote, Mr. Trump's legal team failed to prove mass election fraud in court, but election security is still urgently needed. If you have to show photo ID to buy Sudafed or get on a plane, you should have to show photo ID when voting in person or by mail. Voting is a constitutionally protected right. Buying Sudafed isn't. Getting on a plane isn't. These are very different things. And there is no widespread voter fraud in this country, period. Not in the states where voter ID laws are championed by Republicans. But you know what there is in those states? Black people, brown people, people that trend toward the Democratic Party. Nikki Haley knows many people feel voter ID laws are racially motivated and have the effect of suppressing their votes, even if these requirements sound perfectly harmless the way that she describes them. Which brings us to another Republican politician whose sensitivity on race issues stands in contrast to Nikki Haley's. Nikki Haley.
It's time to move the flag from the Capitol grounds. This is a moment in which we could say that that flag, while an integral part of our past, does not represent the future of our great state.
That appears to be the same version of Nikki Haley who said this about Donald Trump in the Politico interview, quote, I don't think he's going to be in the picture. I don't think he can. He's fallen so far. We need to acknowledge he let us down. He went down a path he shouldn't have, and we shouldn't have followed him, and we shouldn't have listened to him, and we can't let that ever happen again. Well, behold it happening again. Steve Scalise, the latest House Republican leader, going to kiss the ring at Mar-a-Lago. Fox allowing Trump on its air to keep lying about what caused the insurrection in the first place. And all but 7 senators giving Trump a pass for his role in the insurrection. Your party is at a crisis point, Ambassador. You want to keep kicking the can down both sides of the road, ignoring reality, until what? You look up and see the crowd of people walking with you is dense with white supremacists, dense with cravenly ambitious politicians who jettisoned their morals miles back, several clicks after they left fiscal conservative town and family valuesville without so much as a look back. It is a long road through the wilderness, especially with your eyes closed.
Well, that's an interesting take, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah, I kind of did too. I got to be honest.
You know, it comes down to they sure as hell don't like being called out for their bullshit.
No, they truly don't.
You know, that's their whining about cancel culture. There's no cancel culture. It's you know what? The sky's not green. How many times have we said that?
You know, the thing that really bothers me, Lou, is every time the right comes up with something, and we'll use cancel culture because, I mean, you just brought it up, or we could use Antifa, or we can use anything else. They're literally just making it up. You know, they're literally just making it up. And in a little bit, we're gonna talk about Abbott, Governor Abbott in Texas, and how them and Fox Entertainment are just making shit up. We're gonna do that here in a few, but Lou, they've gone to the point where, I mean, the Democrats are at least trying to spin shit their way. They're not even trying to spin. They're just flat out lying. I mean, they're making shit up as they go. And whenever they're called out on it, they just come up with another lie. And it's not even like, you know, we're trying to like, okay, maybe that wasn't quite it. Here's what I mean. I mean, it's just, it doesn't even touch on reality anymore.
No, it doesn't. And you know what? You talk about Texas. Before he went on Fox News, Abbott, he admitted that it was pretty much what the truth was on local Texas TV.
Yeah,
Then
we're
he
good.
went- Then he went to Fox and lied his ass off.
Yeah, we're gonna show that here
Oh, okay.
in a
Yeah.
minute.
It's
Yeah,
just
because
you know,
it needs repeating, right? It needs for people to see, even if we're only, even if only 30 or 40 people are watching us or following us. Yeah, it needs to be shown. But this Nikki Haley thing, who I never thought was qualified to do much of anything, right? Still, she was she was at the UN. She was the ambassador to the UN. She has credentials, even though I truly don't believe she deserved them or earned them, I should say. She really did she twisted herself in a lot of knots in order. I mean, why? I guess my question is, first of all, why even write this op-ed? Second of all, if you got to go into that much explaining or that much bullshit, do you not recognize the inherent problem with what you're dealing with? Because it's not the Democrats and it's not the media and it's not literally anybody but your own circle that's creating this bullshit. And maybe they're taking advantage of it. Maybe the media is taking advantage of it. Maybe the Democrats are taking advantage of it. Fine, you want to have that argument, go ahead. But they're only taking advantage of shit that you're creating. At what point do you sit there and say, you know what, we got a serious problem in this party of ours, and we got to fix it, because if we don't, we're all screwed.
it's their party of personal responsibility that never takes any and hasn't for how many years?
At least
They'll take credit for shit they don't do, like Trump creating all these jobs. Yeah, the magic switch was turned on the 21st of January 2017. Unemployment went from 12 to 4.6 overnight. That's what they have the viewers believe.
immediately.
Grace, me and you would have done a better job in unemployment because we wouldn't have done any stupid shit with trade. When you think about it, we would have said, oh, Obama did a good job. We're just going to let this ride.
We're just going to let it go.
We're gonna
You know
let
what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to step back. I'm not going to touch a fucking thing, and I'm going to take credit for all of it.
It's like that machinery that runs in the mill. Is it running? Yeah. Stay away.
Yep. What's it doing? Whatever the hell it needs to do. Just shut up and stay out of the way.
Running like crazy. You know what? Let's just run it for 24 hours the way it's running.
How many guys in our and Lou, I can remember at OSG, telling well, not so much Chuck, but who was the guy that ran the big CNC machine?
Oh, was it Brian? What the hell was his name?
I think his name might have been Brian.
Might have been big guy.
Because Chuck ran the small one, right? Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chuck ran the small one, but I never remember telling Brian. He was a good kid. You know what? He really was. He was a good.
Where you ever went?
I don't know, but he. I mean, he
I
did.
hope he's making about what he deserves, about $30 an hour. Right?
I hope so too. He was a good kid. You know, he paid his dues. He did everything that you expect, somebody to do. But I told him, I said, look, dude, the machine's doing all the work. Your job is just to take credit for it. Okay. I used to tell him that all the time. Just don't flaunt it, but whenever anybody asks anything, just make sure you take credit for it. You'll be fine. Right. And I would tell him that at 2:30 in the morning, whenever I'm called out there, because I had to reprogram something because it worked 17 times in a row, but for some reason the 18th time it was that controller that was on that piece of shit machine they were using. But you'd have to recompile and just do it again. And okay, that's what I got to do. And I would tell him all the time, dude, don't worry, you fix this. Just shut up and take credit for it. And that's all Trump had to do. Just shut up and take credit for it. Don't screw around with anything. Just let it ride. And he couldn't do that. He couldn't even do that. Just let it ride.
Yeah, he wasn't smart enough to let it ride.
But we had a CNC guy who I trust me was making minimum wage. He got it. He was able to figure it out. Just let it ride. It's not hard. It's not hard. When things are going good, pretend you're controlling it. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. She's twisting herself in knots. And again, Lou, I don't understand why she even felt compelled to write this thing. What was the purpose of even writing this op-ed? What did she think she was going to accomplish? She made herself look like a bigger fool, first of all, but what was the point? To what?
What are they distracting for?
Yeah, but I mean, she has to have a personal end game in this, right?
Well, she wants to run for president.
You can't run for president when you're looking like an ass.
Well, look at the ass that just lost.
Yeah, an older white guy, not a female.
And she has a hell of a suntan for Republican too.
Yeah. Dude, trust me when I tell you, whoever the next person is gonna represent the Republican Party, it ain't gonna be Nikki Haley. Okay, it's not by any stretch. Now they may have 40 people next time up on that stage, right? In 4 years, they may have 40 of them up there now. At this point, you know, Ted Cruz, that piece of shit's going to be one of them. That moron.
Josh Hawley.
Hawley will be there.
Tom Cotton.
Right. All the usual stuff,
or whatever her name is from South Dakota.
Yeah.
DeSantis.
Right. All the same morons that, you know, the usual suspects. They're all going to be there, and they're going to start falling off. You know, 2-3 debates in, you're going to see them start to drop off because they don't have money, because they don't know how to slap their ass with both hands. So they're going to be out of money here pretty quick. It's going to come down to, just like it was last time, a traditional conservative, which was Jeb Bush, right? And some right-wing asshole, some knucklehead Trumper. God knows who the hell that's going to be. And that asshole's probably going to win their primary because the Republicans have no desire to kick this thing in the ass. And if they've shown anything over this last election, you're out. We don't want to deal with your shit. And it goes back to the argument that we had last night. The best the Republican Party can do at the rate they're going. Now, there's time to fix this, but at the rate they're going, the best they're going to do is win primaries. You're out election here and there in some stupid ass states like, you know, Alabama, right? Mississippi, right? You're going to get those assholes, though, like, you know, they'll win Mayberry, even though it's not going to matter. And then what? You're shitting away every chance you have to be a part of the governmental thing. And the only reason I hesitate with a lot of stuff is because are they just simply looking at local politics instead of national? Because that's one thing nobody's touching on is the local thing. Right? Now in the House, yeah, they can do that because everything's jerry-rigged all the fuck. National, though, Senate isn't. Senate's statewide.
Yeah, governors are statewide. Senate's statewide.
What are they going to do? They're going to lose and lose and lose and lose. And what are you going to have? A dozen knuckleheads left at the national level? You're going to have a dozen at best, unless they change their shit.
Well, you know what? You look at it too. Some of their top ones are getting old.
Yeah.
We know McConnell's a piece of shit, but by God, he may look good compared to the next one.
He might. You mean that political hack, McConnell?
Yeah.
Yeah, the political hack.
Hey, do we have cryptocurrency donations?
I do not believe we have cryptocurrency enabled. I don't think we do. I'll be honest. Be nice if we did.
Where's our IT guy?
Yeah, that would be me. I think in order to do that, we have to create an account. And I'll be honest, I don't want to create a cryptocurrency account. However, we should. You know what? It might be worth our time. I'm not sold on it though. You know what? I'm really not. I'm not sold on it yet. I'm kind of hard-headed. I still think that you need something a little bit more tangible. If I can't go buy a case of beer with it, I'm not so sure it's in my best interest to try to trade in it.
Hey, go see if beer for less takes.
I'm serious, right? I and it's the same argument I make with a lot of the guys in our shop and some of the kids that would be on my floor, and I would always tell them, don't ever do anything that would make sure that would guarantee you can't work in a bank. Right? There was always the standard that I told people, just, I don't care what you do, but don't ever put yourself in a position that you can't be hired in a bank. Most of that, was always falling on deaf ears because, well, I should have been paid more attention to my audience whenever I did it. But, right? I mean, think about what you're doing. You are handling money. You are taking people's money and you are handing money to people who take this shit very seriously and very personally. Don't ever do anything to yourself, whether it be something physical or something in a record or something anywhere, that's going to disqualify you from working in a bank. If you can do that, if you can, whatever it is you do, don't ever do that, because you're screwed if you do. And yet, I got folks that just don't want to hear it. You know? They just don't want to hear it. They think they know better. I walked the earth for half a century. Trust me when I tell you, this is how it is. Okay? I don't know what your individual story is. I'll be honest with you. I don't care. Whenever I tell you, unless you own the bank,
yeah.
Brian Lessinger, thank you. Thank you for coming back to watch more. We appreciate it. Am I wrong, Lou?
No.
I mean, I understand we're a little older than most folks, but I mean, come on.
My God, if I grew up now, I'd already be in trouble.
Yeah,
when I grew up, you could still disappear in this country and made sure that nobody could find you. Can't do that now.
Look how many people have been who have even with the riots, with the insurrection, were caught simply because of their social media posts. Right? And I'll tell you a better story. I'll tell you a better one. I happen to know the local chief here. You know that, the police chief. And he tells us all the time, the best thing that ever happened to them was social media. Because folks can't help themselves. They have to post what they're doing and where they're doing it and who they're doing it with. I don't understand the at this point can only be considered an addiction, right? Because you look at how people handle these things, you look how people interact with social media. It shows it's the same qualities that people who are addicted to things do it, right? It's literally the same behavior. But the best thing that ever happened to them is social media.
Yeah, and the same people are worried about those chips going into their arms from the COVID vaccine.
Right. Master
But
Grant,
that's Master Grant's fault because he did the algorithms for those.
That's right. Good evening, guys. Sorry I was late. I had to get my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook posts up to date. So yeah, so it was just yeah.
He's
Hold on, I gotta
fixing
take
algorithms, huh?
take a selfie here. Ding ding. Okay, so yeah, got to fix the algorithms to now that now that the election's over, I can set them back to normal.
you can get in all those voting machines, right?
I did. Yeah, I did. It was very easy. Yeah, the Chinese and the Colombians gave me all the information I needed, and so
Hugo, you were in constant contact with Hugo Chavez there, weren't you?
that's right. I was.
Did you have to dig up the grave to get those notes or what?
Shh, don't tell anybody your secrets. As long as you got your secrets, you're invaluable. Don't do that. That's job security there. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Oh, algorithms. Oh, gosh.
Dude, I said it before. I'll say it again. I swear they use these words because they're big and they think that they impress.
They do.
Yeah. And you can take any of these idiots, even your buddy Sean Hannity. Sorry to put you on the spot like this, but you can even take your buddy and he can say algorithm. He thinks he knows, and he couldn't tell you what an algorithm does if you gave him a month.
I'm not even.
Let him Google the whole damn thing.
I'm not even here 2 minutes, and you got to get on me about Sean Hannity.
Well, dude, I can't help you choose your friends the way you do. I mean,
such a anti-conservative bias. I feel that.
On this channel, imagine.
Yes,
that. We're anti-conservative on this channel. Right. Who would have thunk?
I wouldn't say we're anti-conservative. We're anti-fascist right-wing asshole.
Oh, so you're anti-pho.
There you go.
And pho is the soup that the Vietnamese make. So you're anti-pho.
We don't like soup.
I don't like the Vietnamese noodle soup. Most delicious soup in the world, but
yeah, it actually is.
So yeah, I don't like, of course, it goes back to high school debate club 101 where, you get into a debate, you try to make it us versus them. You paint the other guy. Once you do, paint the guy, him bad, me good, him, evil, me going to heaven, and you win. And, you can't label people. You really can't. Because if you look, and I know we've talked about this before, like if you look at me, all right, I'm fiscally conservative, extremely so, probably to the far right, because I'm just, I want us to shut down the Senate for us to save money for crying out loud. So yes, I'm very, extremely fiscally conservative. I have some conservative views on other things, right? And I have some liberal progressive views on others, socialist views on other things. I'm not afraid to say it. That's what we're supposed to be. I mean, we're not just supposed to be one camp,
right.
And if all you can think about is right to life, right? If that's the only thing that you can think about and vote on, then, really, I don't know. To me, that's so you're going to vote in the devil because the devil's going to say he'll vote anti-abortion. So that's worth it. Ends justify the means.
Yeah, that already happened though, didn't it? 4 years ago? Well, almost.
Yeah. And this whole ends justify the means. Wasn't that a Republican argument back in the day with Clinton or somebody?
I can't tell you how many of these folks, Lou, that I've talked to that are more than willing to sacrifice things because they end up getting what they want. Or things happening in their idealistic bubble. They're more than willing to that's just collateral damage.
Yeah, voted in Trump pro-life, but had 480,000 retroactive abortions after the fact for reckless leadership.
It's terrible, isn't it?
That's no big deal, though.
Not to them. Not to them, it's not. I've never seen an entire, and you know, I guess, you know, Master Grant, you and I have talked about, and Lou too. We've talked about this idea that we're really not in favor of a two-party system, right? We really should be more like, I don't know, 10. And I just threw 10 out in the air. It could be 6, it could be 14. It really doesn't matter. But whenever you have so many diverse opinions and so many different ways of looking at the world, and you're trying to take all of those and segregate them into just two camps, it's a very, very difficult thing to do. You know what I'm saying? You really have a very difficult time, and you're not being represented properly whenever you do that.
No, and right now you're showing that in both of the parties when you think about it. You have the traditional conservatives that are conservative. You have extreme right wing, you know, with the vote and authoritarianism. You have your, you know, Democrats that are left center. And then you have your progressives that are, you know, and actually some of that isn't really as far left as the right makes it out to be.
No, not really.
AOC's no further left than FDR was.
No.
Neither is Bernie.
No. So, Master Grant, we're looking at 4 right now. We didn't even think about it. We came up with 4 subdivisions.
Easy.
4
easy.
Yeah. That was without any thought at all. Right.
So Lou, what would you consider yourself as?
You know what? That's why, you know, we were talking, we weren't anti-conservative, because I'm like you when it comes to fiscally responsible. I'm as progressive as I feel that the graduated progressive tax should be re-implemented to help this country as far as education. But I go as far as I believe everybody deserves an equal chance and an equal footing. But if you're a lazy ass later in life, you know what? I don't feel for you then. And I guess that side would lean, you know what I mean? And unless you're injured or physically disabled, you can't work. But, you know, that something has to be done from the beginning, and it's going to take a generation to correct, if you're able to correct it. Did you ever take one of those political tests on the web to see where you fall in a spectrum? It's a XY graph, and you answer all these questions. And I've taken it twice, and both times I came out as a left-wing libertarian.
Yeah, me too.
You too?
Me too.
And I think a lot of that is just what we talked about. It's like, yeah, it's, you know, there's a lot of things I support, but, you know.
I will be more than happy to show you to show you mine, right? Because I actually saved it because I was really impressed with it. Not like what the results were, but just this entire thing, right? Because I never saw one before. Let me here it is. It's what do they call it? A political compass, right? And let me do this. Like I said, I'm more than happy to show you mine. Okay, here's mine. Where is this thing here? Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. Whoa, that's really deep. Well,
it's a little zoom.
Yeah, well, you know what? I zoomed the hell out of that, didn't I? Okay, so the red dot is me. Okay. So libertarian to the left, which really shouldn't surprise you if you guys know me, right? I am somewhere. Well, there I am right there. Okay. There we go, right there. That's me. I'm actually left of Nelson Mandela. Not as far as Gandhi, but pretty damn close, right? And I'm going to guess that most of us, especially on our side, kind of fall into that category. Okay, maybe not right here. And one of the folks that is in our Discord group, and you know, Lou, you know her. She's up here somewhere, right? Okay, she's about here. Well, you can't see that. I'm sorry.
No, I can't see it.
Sorry. She's
Yeah,
about here.
bottom left corner.
Right. She's about here. If you can see, can you see the hand?
No.
No, you can't. Really, you can't see the hand.
It's really, really small.
Okay.
Well, I
Just
see
to-
it now, yeah.
Look, if you
how
Master Patsy, if you increase the algorithm a little bit,
there,
it'll pick up for you. Gonna be milking that one for a long time.
yeah, you know what? I'm not nearly as good at coding as you are. So you're gonna have to bear with me. Two things I absolutely believe that we should not skimp on. Okay, is healthcare and education. To be honest, I think those should be the two biggest expenses we have.
And don't you think those two things would pay for themselves in the long run?
Over and over and over. 10
You know
times.
what? A healthy society, you're not going to the doctor as much. If you're not afraid to get taken care of, it's less in the long run. Same with education. Guess what? An educated populace,
Makes you money.
they're prepared for the job market.
An educated populace makes your country money.
Look at Germany.
I was
Look
just
at
going to say that.
Look at the Scandinavian countries. Look at Canada. My God, Canada's standard of living is about 10 notches higher than us now.
Master Grant, they figured it out a long time ago. You've been
Yeah,
to
they did.
Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
So forgive me for saying this, but when you've traveled abroad to countries like Germany, England, Norway, Japan, Singapore, Australia, you realize that we are not on the top. We're in fact in between first world countries and third world countries. We're in the middle. We're second world. Unfortunately, it's hard to say, because when I say it, you're gonna get a lot of people. That's the greatest country in the world. Blah blah blah. Yeah, well, you need to travel around a little bit and take a look, and your eyes will be open then. But you can't just sit here without having traveled. You cannot sit here and make comments like that if you haven't seen it with your own eyes and experienced it. And so, it's a sobering fact. But we got so much. Wool is so pulled over our eyes. We drink the Kool-Aid like there's no tomorrow. That it's never going to really change. I wanted to throw in one comment though. That
Go ahead.
I think that I agree with you guys. Healthcare, education, those are I have, but I also have my number one is military, is defense, and might be because I'm a martial artist, but defense is number one, because there's a lot of people out there that would want to come and just take what we have, and so we have to have a good military.
But do we need it all over the world like we have?
No. Only here, and focused here, and focused on high tech, focused on cybercrime. Start beefing up our cyber defenses, right? Start getting into space. I mean, there's no need for us to be in, Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan and all those other godforsaken areas. Bring them back, and focus on our own internal wall security. Not saying build. I was just gonna say, not saying build a wall. Come on. That's it. He said it. He said build a wall.
Even those damn liberals get it.
The only wall we need is a good firewall.
Yes.
You You know what? And you know what? You just showed it in Texas, the grid. I mean, do you think Russia and China's not working on? Just think what would happen if they took that power grid across the whole country for a month.
This is what happens, and I've said it from day one, and I've had people literally feet away from me arguing with me that government regulation is no good. Well, here you go. We're gonna. This was Chris Hayes last night, calling out pretty much, Greg Abbott and Fox Entertainment and the whole 9 yards. Again, you guys know my feeling about Fox Entertainment, right? I've said before, and I'll say it again. Fox Entertainment is without a doubt the downfall of our country. I've said it, and no one's ever going to change my mind about that. Maybe it's just maybe because I'm stubborn about it, but I'm telling you, they have done more to destroy the fabric of our country than anything or any outside influence ever has, right? And I've always said, what killed Rome? What killed the Roman Empire, right? It rotted from within. There wasn't anybody outside of the Roman Empire that could have taken them over or caused this downfall. Its downfall happened from within. And we're seeing the same shit now. And the thing that's going to kill us is Fox Entertainment. It really is. So here, just check this out, okay? And you guys know me. I'm not a big Chris Hayes fan, but here you go.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. We are one day further towards genuine catastrophe, as a huge swath of the country has been hit by winter storms and record low temperatures below zero across more than a dozen states. Now, millions of Americans are experiencing power outages, but in Texas, there is a near total breakdown. Most of Texas is on its own energy grid, run by the organization called the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, or ERCOT, and it is disconnected from the two main power grids in the rest of the country, the Eastern and Western interconnects. And it is the most deregulated energy market in the country. All sorts of interesting idiosyncrasies to how it operates. Its power infrastructure is simply not designed to withstand days of freezing temperatures, which are expected to continue until the weekend. ERCOT officials said today they expect the blackouts in Texas to last at least until tomorrow. The crisis is the product of both extreme weather, a kind of black swan event, and also real governing failure. And the person at the head of the Texas government took the time to go on Fox News last night to push the big lie that Republicans and right-wing media have been pushing for days. A brazen, jaw-dropping lie that the hippie libs and their clean energy are to blame for the devastation in Texas.
The Green New Deal would be a deadly deal for the United States of America. Texas is blessed with multiple sources of energy, such as natural gas and oil and nuclear, as well as solar and wind. But you saw from what Trace said, and that is our wind and our solar got shut down, and they were collectively more than 10% of our power grid. And that thrust Texas into a situation where it was lacking power in a statewide basis. If the Biden administration is going to try to eradicate fossil fuels in the United States, every state is going to constantly have challenges like what America has seen take place in Texas right now.
That's not true, just to be clear. The idea that wind and solar completely went out and thrust the state into that situation. In fact, the governor was spinning a different tale when he spoke to a local news outlet just before he went on Fox News. Not mentioning wind or solar or green energy at all. Instead, placing the blame on natural gas.
The companies that generate the power, their operations have frozen up or have tripwired and are non-operational. That is the lead reason why there is a shortage of power for the people who are lacking power right now. There is an additional reason causing a lack of natural gas arriving to power generation centers across the state, and that's because the ability to both manufacture and to ship and transport natural gas has been frozen also. It's frozen in the pipeline, it's frozen at the rig, it's frozen in the transmission line.
Natural gas is frozen everywhere. That's a big part of the problem, the catastrophe. That's what he's telling Texans. And he goes on national Fox News to say that it's the Green New Deal. This is the crazy blame game the governor of Texas is playing while his constituents are freezing in their homes without power or heat, some for the third straight day.
How much power have you had in the last 3 days?
Okay, so that's probably like total of maybe 4 hours.
4 hours in 3 days.
4 hours in 3 days.
We're huddled under all the blankets that we have. It's 45 in our house.
Steve Rivera and his wife seeking shelter with the only neighbor they knew that had a fireplace.
She hasn't been able to eat regularly and take her medications.
For 11 members of the Adela family, the only way to stay warm is inside a church van parked in their driveway.
How many kids are there? How are you guys doing?
Inside, 7 kids, ages 3 months to 11 years old.
Well, it started, see, I have 3 cats and a dog, some kids. We lost power, put the kids in a different location with family members, and then we've just been sleeping in the closet with my pets. Can't find gas anywhere. I don't even know what city I'm in right now, to be honest.
Hell. Yeah, hell. Sure hell. Yeah. And then that's why I say somebody should be held accountable.
But to the purveyors of the big lie, Republicans like Greg Abbott and his friends on Fox News, this very real and acute suffering is just a vehicle for their political objections. They are trying to convince Americans that the state of J.R. Ewing and the Houston Oilers, the capital of American fossil fuel extraction, was actually covertly turned into a lefty bastion of green energy while no one was looking, and that's the source of the problem.
So, unbeknownst to most people, the Green New Deal came to Texas. The power grid in the state became totally reliant on windmills. Then it got cold and the windmills broke, because that's what happens in the Green New Deal. You're without power. Millions are still without power tonight.
Yes, while you weren't looking, you hear that quote? Unbeknownst to most people, Texas became some sort of hippie commune, totally reliant on windmills and rainbows and flower power. Totally reliant. He actually said that about Texas. Was it unbeknownst to the Republican leadership of the state, who have occupied nearly every statewide office in Texas for decades? A Democrat has not won statewide in decades? Did Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez 10 years ago at the tender age of 21 parachute into the state of Texas to put up windmills under cover of night? Were she and Al Gore driving through the Permian Basin, secretly unplugging all the rigs? How stupid does Tucker think his audience is exactly? It's just a lie. It's not a dishonest mischaracterization or spin or omission. It's just a straight out ridiculous lie. Now, Texas does have a lot of wind power. It's true. But wind power makes up only a fraction of Texas's energy in the winter. Governor Abbott said himself, wind and solar only make up 10% of the grid. There are real material consequences here, as so many people go into a third freezing night. The immediate priority must be figuring out a way to get power and heat to people who desperately need it, as well as clean water, amidst a severe weather event and infrastructure that is simply overwhelmed by it right now.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow.
So we
I can answer one question.
Okay, go ahead.
How stupid are Fox viewers? Very.
Extremely?
This is from Media Matters. In 2 days, they have it split on Fox News and Fox Business. Fox Opinion shows lied about that very subject 80 times, and on their straight news shows, the straight news supposedly, 48 times. So that's 128 times in 2 days.
In 2 days.
Green New Deal.
Yeah, and you know that it's ridiculous. Why? You know, well, because one, Republicans own that state. That's a that's probably more red than South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, Austin's the only blue dot that they have. So how does this happen, Republicans? How do you let this happen? I thought you guys were, all good, and no, they have to turn it around, and it's just like he said, AOC parachutes in the middle of the night
at age 21,
secretly sets up all these windmills with nobody knowing it.
I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but these windmills, wind turbines actually, but we'll call them windmills. That's fine if you want. By default, they are climate tolerant. Okay, in other words, the cold and the heat doesn't affect them. You actually have to go out of your way and pay more for these turbines that aren't climate tolerant. Okay, you have to go find them, because by default they all are. Okay. What gets me, Lou, and the one thing I can never figure out, I mean, you and I have done our fair share of site work, okay, working on a project someplace. The idea of putting any transmission line anywhere less than 3 feet underground absolutely boggles my mind. I mean, that's the default standard, I thought, damn near everywhere all over the entire planet. How the fuck does Texas have gas that's freezing in the pipes? The only way that happens is if you're less than 3 feet underground. What are they, 6 inches underground? Just enough to cover the pipe?
You would think you'd want 3 feet or further, not just for frost. I mean, we do it for frost around here, but just to protect it from normal equipment and whatever else might be.
Well, how the hell do you get fixtures that whenever you band them together don't drop 3 feet? I mean, that's the standard sizes for these things. That, I mean, you almost have to go out of your way to come up with something more shallow than that. Am I right? I've never seen anything between 45s or just 90-degree elbows and just sections of pipe or whatever it is, that whenever you put them together, just stupidly put them together, you're going to be 3 feet.
What do they do? Lay them on top of the ground and have a cow shit on them or something?
How the hell do you do? I mean, that's the standard cuts, right? And let's face it, if you're putting in that much infrastructure over an area that big, you're not customizing anything, or at least you wouldn't think so. You're just going to go with whatever the standard is, aren't you?
You would think.
How the hell do you get away from that unless you do it intentionally?
You know, that's the same with, what was the one thing saying yesterday that all the equipment housing and the instruments were freezing? Well, aren't they in a climate-controlled booth?
Yeah, they should be. I mean, do we honestly, and I guess it's in a way it's a rhetorical question, but there is some truth to the question. Are we, I don't want to say that insulated or isolated, but because we have to deal, now don't forget, Western PA in this country, and I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, Lou, I know you do because I told you this before, our area of the country, our extremes, the coldest cold to the hottest hot, is the greatest range of anywhere in the nation. Okay, which is why Pennsylvania roads are so bad. Okay, it isn't because PennDOT they can't count their balls and get the same number twice. It's because the amount of expansion and contraction that falls upon the roads and everything in Western PA is greater than literally anywhere else in the country. Okay, so we are used to having that range, and we do our best. And when you look at it from that standpoint, when you realize what you're dealing with, Pennsylvania actually, and especially Western PA and Eastern Ohio, do a really good job of being able to navigate their way through these extremes. Okay. But whenever you're in a climate, in an area where those extremes are so great, I think, do we take so much for granted that the idea of being less than 36 inches below the surface is just foreign to us?
I mean, any construction site I've been involved in, man, we take measurements.
It's amazing what a tape measure will do for you, right? A tape measure and a triangle you can do wonders with.
I don't know how many times we've put the transits to it and tape, like, better go 6 more with that backhoe.
Right? I mean, the what was it? The 3-4-5 thing, right? I mean, come on. Is it really that hard to Master Grant, you moved to the knuckleheads. What do they really not understand this idea of how climate works?
Well,
Here's a good quick story. My friends of my sons and daughter-in-law live in Texas. So they finally got a hold of them to see how they were doing. They lost their power. Their house was down into the low 40s. But being from up north, guess what the first thing they did when they realized that power was going down and it could have been days?
What's that?
Drained all their water lines.
That's what you did.
Drained the water lines in the house before
Before things burst.
husband's mother-in-law lived a little ways away. She still had power. So they drained the water lines, locked up, and went over to her house.
Right, because those things are going to burst like.
And you know what? A lot of people don't think that if you've never been from the north.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly that's great, because they don't know. They just don't know, and so like I am going to counter that. I don't think PennDOT understands the difference between gravel and pavement, but Pennsylvania does have perhaps the widest range of weather in the country. The Pennsylvania, Ohio, that area is it's either massively cold, it's super hot, it's all tornadoes, wind, everything kind of happens. Probably even hurricanes come along.
Yeah, we get them every now.
So you get it all, and the roads are because with all the salt that's thrown on and the tractions and everything, the roads are decent. There's no question. They're getting better, but still, like when you come down to an area like South Carolina where they just don't experience it, they have no salt trucks. They don't even have any. They have maybe one truck that has a plow. For the state. It's up in the mountains. I mean, nobody knows how to deal with it here, and they don't. And the houses aren't built correctly for cold.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
I mean, I know my house isn't. If we had any extended period of below 35, this house, we'd be freezing. It would be 35 degrees in here. And so, and that the houses are built for the heat and the sun. That's basically what they're built for. Now, there's no excuse for the lines, though. That's no excuse. That's just being lazy. That's just lazy work. I mean, but yeah, but here's the other thing. Like, I know that since we moved down here, I have 2 generators that I have, and I've got at least 5 days that I could run of gas that I can run those generators with, based, for hurricanes, knocks the power out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're living in like Dallas and those type of places. I guess they never really needed to prepare for anything like that. But I mean, do you guys have generators? I never had a generator in Penn, I don't think.
I have one.
Yeah.
It's a 30 amp, and I bought it a year and a half ago because we lose power here in Mayberry, don't forget. We're on wells.
Yeah.
So you lose water
Immediately.
And I also have a sump pump.
Yeah, I don't have a sump.
I wired myself out to the outside, the 220 line. So if I have to, I can start that generator. I have to shut a bunch of stuff off, but at least I could run. I have my water, I have my sump pump running, and I have enough. I could probably power this computer and TV too.
Right. So I don't have one yet, and with the way the climate is changing, I'm probably due to get one. I probably should have got it by now. What I will say is, it's kind of deceiving because our power out here in Mayberry, it doesn't go out very often, to be honest. It really doesn't. Maybe a half dozen times a year, maybe, and that's in a bad year. But it still happens more than people that I know, that live in town. Okay, and to their credit, the power company does a pretty good job of getting things up and running relatively quickly. I can't remember, Lou. I very rarely have we gone like an extended time where I'm thinking, oh my God, don't open the fridge. right? Very rare. It doesn't happen very often. It does happen from time to time, but not very often. So they do a pretty decent job, but at the same time, as you're seeing things start to change, and you're seeing, well, look at what we're dealing with now here, Lou, right? There's really no excuse to not have some sort of backup something, even if you just have enough to last a few hours. It's something people here better start doing, because it ain't gonna get any better. Okay, it's really not.
Now you were talking about extremes. Just to let people know, I have a little weather station that tracks temperature, highs and lows all day and all night.
Mm-hmm.
And I checked, we were actually down to 0. Not this morning, yesterday morning. We hit 0 at 4 a.m.
Okay.
So
that's Fahrenheit.
That's what we talk about when it affects the roads, because now you're going to get that where it's going to be in the 40s next week. So you get the thaw. The water drains down into those cracks. It falls below freezing, and that's what creates potholes. And that's what the road departments.
And then you get that pothole, which can be addressed without any problem until you get in July or August, whenever you're in the high 90s, right? And that pothole just gets bigger.
And then the pavement expands.
The pavement expands that, right? And that crevice and that hole that could have been, I don't want to say easily addressed, but yeah, easily addressed, now takes longer. And you're putting patch now. You're putting a patch mix on top of what's supposed to be a quote unquote permanent mix, which never is, but it's supposed to be, right? And you're expecting some kind of chemical bond between the patch that you're putting in this hole and the pavement that's already there, which isn't going to happen because they're two different mixes. So you'll get a half-ass patch, far better than if it was concrete, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to get that patch, you're going to put it in whenever it's 90 whatever degrees out, then come November, December, it's going to drop down to 0 again. And what happens to that patch? And that's assuming nobody runs over it, right? Everything's going to contract and it's going to pop straight up, and you're going to have that pothole again, because of the amount of expansion and contraction. Not that it expands and contracts, but the amount. It just blows it away. That's Western PA, folks. That's what you got. This is what we live in. Okay? Lou, how deep is your well?
I think it's 140 feet.
You're in a shit when I tell you how deep mine is.
How deep's yours?
720 feet.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. How many pumps you burn out?
So far, none. So far, I haven't burned out one. Wow. But it did have a crack in the the sleeve, the concrete sleeve that they use. I do have a crack in. 720.
I never heard of one that deep.
Yep.
What's your in-laws? They don't know, probably.
130, maybe. Yeah, right next to me. Well, it's because we live on a mountain, right? I mean, you saw where my well is, where my mound is. That was the only place they could put it, because if you put it anywhere else, it wouldn't have passed. And this is going back 20 years before the restrictions aren't nearly what they are now. And that was the only place you could put it, right in, on the left side of my front yard, which is like the most eyesore place you could put it. But we tried 6 spots, and that was the only one that would pass. And that was 20-some years ago. Wouldn't pass none of it would pass. Now I'd have a leach field if I'm lucky. Right? Yeah, 720 feet deep. That's ridiculous. But that's what it is. Hope to God I never have to change that pump.
Down here, because we got so many swamps, you only have to go like 2 feet. In fact, you don't even have to go down at all. You just suck it off the top. Might get an alligator.
Skim it right off the top.
Or baby alligator come in too.
Skim it off the top and put a filter. You'll be fine. But that's how bad it is, really. Okay? So when I tell you, like in the wintertime, when you turn my faucet on, that water's cold. Okay? It's cold. It doesn't take long to make ice. Okay? It's there. In the summer, it's still cold, right? Because you're so far deep that, eventually you come to a constant temperature, right? But that's what we deal with. Apparently, you don't have these problems in Texas. Apparently, you don't. I mean, like I said, I understand we're extreme, but
I think Texas suffers from the heat more than
I would think so too.
They do. I think this Arctic vortex coming down. It's just coming straight down the middle of the country. I think it's just a rare. They're not because it's Texas, it's Oklahoma, Arkansas.
Here's the question I'm going to have for you. Because we have this climate change, and they like to say climate change, and they like to say global warming. Well, let's use global warming just because it's something people can figure out. The heater in your car, whenever you turn your heater on, which way is the air blowing? Is it blowing to your feet or to your head?
Oh, I go feet and
right. It's going to your feet. The defrosters go to your head, right? But if you just turn the heater on, if we just go to heat, it's blowing toward your feet. Why?
I blow it to my feet, yeah, because my feet are cold.
Why does that happen?
Because
heat rises, right? The hot air rises. So your air conditioner. You turn on your air conditioner, it's not blowing towards your feet, right? It's blowing to your chest or to your head, right? Why? Because the cold drops. So when you have a planet and it's getting warmer, where's the hot air going? It's going up. Okay, it's going up to the top of the northern pole. Well, you already have cold air there. So where's that cold air have to go? It's going to go down. Texas better get used to this shit. Okay.
Did you happen to watch Rachel last night?
I did not. I'll tell you the truth. I think I fell asleep. It was probably 8:15.
Rachel basically came on with Texas, and she went through ERCOT and everything that happened. And did you know what happened? And I had forgotten about this. What happened in 2011 in Texas?
Oh, shit. I don't remember yesterday, dude. Master Grant would know.
Kind of the same thing that happened this week, except not as bad. They lost power everywhere because the grid was not ready for it. So because they're not regulated by the government, their study warned next time's going to be worse if you don't take care of it now. And what do we keep talking about? Pay now or pay more later. And guess what they didn't do?
They didn't pay up front. That was a decade ago.
And they said it was going to happen again. The same thing happened. The pipes froze. The equipment froze. And of all the irony, guess who started the windmills in Texas? You'll like this.
Bush.
Ted Cruz.
George W.
That was as ironic as I could get. W did.
Well,
you know what?
George isn't even ironic. Well, it is because he was an oil man. Guess who really jumped on the wind turbine bandwagon when he was governor?
Jeb.
Perry.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. These pieces of shit.
Yeah.
The same people who are motherfucking it now.
Same people that are doing it now. You're right.
They don't care, dude. They don't care.
Truth means nothing to them anymore.
Don't even know what truth is. Right?
Rush Limbaugh proved that you don't need to tell the truth to get the point across for what you want to do.
Master Grant, what did Pontius Pilate ask Christ? What is truth? Right? Ask him that flat out. What is truth? Right? It's amazing. You just keep asking that question over and over and over again.
I just love that it was the Republicans who became the moral, the majority moral watchdogs during the Clinton years, and how they all was like, flip-flopping. Rush was really big on the flip-flop, and how they would lie, and you gotta have integrity, and it's like.
And what gave him the opening? A blowjob.
Yeah, so
that was it.
So look how they just kind of went about face 360 turn. I mean, well, not a 360, 180.
180. Unless
complete. Complete. It's like now, you get the R next to your name, doesn't stand for righteous.
Nope. It doesn't. It doesn't. Lou, less than a lifetime. I mean, that was the first time I voted. Pretty much, right around that same time. It would have been my first election or second.
Yeah, blowjob's bad, but insurrection's good.
That's good. That's the 180 Master Grant is talking about, right? That's how much it is, right? A blowjob is good enough to get you impeached, right?
Yeah, and then you get all these people who hate Foss soup going in and starting up a resurrection, the anti-Foss.
I bought a whole case of instant Foss soup to try at Costco last week. I haven't brought it out yet.
Oh, you'll eat the whole thing. That's
and you better be careful because people are going to start storming your house. Apparently. Let me know when you do, because I want to park across the street and watch.
Do you guys live close to each other?
I don't know, Lou. What, a couple miles apart?
Yeah, out here that's almost neighbors.
Yeah, out here, it's like two houses.
It's just a piece, It's about 10 houses. Yeah, 3 miles.
Yeah, that's about how it goes. Next time you're out this way, Master Grant, I'll take you over to Lou. Really, I mean, you live in a metropolis, so you might think you were traveling forever, but for us, no, it's not. It's not far at all.
Master Grant, it's a 5-mile round trip to get a gallon of milk if I need it.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, 5-mile round trip. And he's going to pay $6 for the gallon because it's the store out here.
And that's to the farm. That's the dairy farm.
Yeah, that's up to Tim's.
Go get a gallon of milk, play your lottery, bag of pretzels, drive back.
Yeah,
but don't forget that 5-mile round trip, getting the milk and back only takes like 8 minutes. Maybe 10.
Maybe 10 for somebody in line in front of you.
For somebody in line. You jump in the car and you go, what are you doing? You're going 50 miles an hour each way.
Let's put it this way. By the time he pulls back in his driveway, his car is getting warm. The heater's warming up.
And you don't even shut it off when you're there.
No. I can't tell you how many people I know out here that to this day, tonight, without blinking an eye and doing it intentionally, will leave their keys in their car. Leave it in the ignition in their driveway. They'll do it tonight. I can't tell you.
Mine in the truck a couple weeks. I couldn't find my keys a couple weeks ago. I looked in the ignition out in the driveway. It was in the truck for 2 days.
I know people that do it intentionally. And I know because I've asked them. I said, "Where the hell's your keys?" "Oh, they're in the car."
In my defense, though, most young people now that would steal something probably couldn't do it.
Yeah, they couldn't drive your Jeep or your truck. There's no way. Nope. You know why, Master Grant? Take a guess why.
Stick.
Yep.
2006. It has a 5-speed transmission in it.
Is it on the floor?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah. You know what? As nice as that is, the one you had before that was better. Was the green one you had? Oh, that was nice.
I like this one. This 4-wheel drive.
Oh, that's true. The other one wasn't. Yeah. Do you have a lever?
And now it's actually just a switch.
It's a switch. Yeah, that doesn't count. You need a lever. You got to pull that thing into 4-wheel drive, man.
Yeah,
push a button. It's down.
It's 2-wheel, 4 high, 4 low.
Yeah. See, you need the lever now. See, I got my Jeep. I have a lever. Nick's Jeep. Yeah, I have a lever. Nick has a button, and I tell him that doesn't count. That's not real 4-wheel drive. You have to actually pull that lever. You got to.
I think most of the new ones now they don't even have the lever anymore. A lot of
No, they don't.
It's all automatic.
It's all electronic now. Yep. Yeah, it is.
My buddy just bought a brand new Ford F-250, and there's no longer a lever in that. You'd think there would be in a heavy duty.
No, there's not. In a Jeep, dude. In a Jeep. I mean, come on. Yeah, no. And the piece that you use on a Jeep to go from 2-wheel to 4-wheel is literally just the shaft with a couple of nipples on each end. Is all it is.
Yeah.
I was talked through it, but I replaced mine myself. My buddy, said we pulled it in. He lifted it in his garage, and he said, "Okay, do this, do this, do this, do this." And I was like, "You're shitting me." He goes, "No, that's it." Okay, so I did it, and he said, "Okay, go try." So here I am out in Coatesville, running around all over the place at night, pulling this thing in a 4-wheel drive, dropping it out. That was it. It's literally that stupidly easy on mine, anyhow. It's ridiculous. He really said, "No, just do this, do this, do this. Oh, and don't do this because you're an idiot if you do." And I'm like, "Okay."
Well,
what do you think? You guys ready to call it a night?
yeah, it's enough excitement.
Yeah, I think so.
Somebody will do something stupid tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, you can count on it.
Guaranteed.
And they're going to have an art behind their name when they do it. Right? You know they are. They can't help themselves. Okay, everybody, thank you. We're going to call it a night. We will be back tomorrow. Last one of the week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Don't miss it. It's a good one. Fridays are good. Well, not really, but join us anyhow. It's the end of the week. Yeah. So be back tomorrow. We need you. Everybody in our chat, thank you very much. Thank you for being a part of this. We truly do appreciate it. We really do. Your involvement means a lot to us. So keep it up, and we will see you. And there's the pug. It was a good night. It was. Master Grant's feeling guilty because he's coming up to Western PA for the weekend, and he's going to leave his pug behind, so he has to get it all in while he can. Don't let him fool. Don't let him fool you. He's a soft touch. Don't let him do it. Until tomorrow, everybody. Same bad time, same bad channel. Goodbye. Good luck, and God bless. We'll see everybody tomorrow.